Lately, I've been thinking a lot about my 30s. Maybe it's some sort of one-third life crisis, or maybe it's just life catching up with me. I'm not really sure. Most things are actually going pretty well. Work, travel, life in general. Nothing's broken. But I've started noticing some things that I didn't expect. The little tensions, the daily struggles, the things that I'm having to unpack now that I didn't even think about in my 20s. This past year, I've spent more time alone than I expected. Not in a dramatic way, just in the quiet, everyday sense. The kind where days end without much conversation, and weekends don't automatically come with plans unless you make them. At first, I didn't think much about it. I told myself that it was normal, even healthy. Time alone can be grounding. It gives you space to think and to reset. And honestly, some of that has been really good for me. But over time, I started to notice how that quiet can slowly turn into distance from the people you care about. And that's when it started to feel different than it used to. I think part of the reason is that friendships don't just happen anymore. And in your 20s, they kind of do. You're around the same people all the time, you live close by, and your schedules line up without much effort. You don't have to be as intentional about staying connected. It's just built into day-to-day life. And in your 30s, that changes. Everyone's lives start filling up. Work gets heavier. People get married and have kids and buy houses. And none of that is a bad thing. It just means that connection isn't automatic anymore. Friendships start requiring intention. You actually have to reach out, plan things, and follow through, or they quietly fade away. And if I'm being honest, there were times where I didn't put in the effort that I should have. I let messages go unanswered, I missed calls. I thought that I'd catch up when life slowed down, but things don't slow down unless you make them. So loneliness didn't hit all at once. It crept in through those little moments, those unanswered messages, and those missed calls. And I think that's one of the most challenging parts of your 30s, is realizing that connection doesn't just happen anymore. It takes effort and it takes intention. And if you want it, you have to show up day in and day out. I also don't remember time moving this fast in my 20s. Back then, the days felt longer, or maybe I just noticed them more. Now, it feels like I start doing things, working, cleaning, and answering emails, and suddenly the day's almost over, and I'm not even sure where the time went. It's not that I'm doing anything out of the ordinary, it's just normal, everyday life stuff. But once I start, it feels like time skips ahead. There's always something that needs to be done and something else waiting in the background. The list never really ends. It just rolls into the next day. And for a while, I thought that meant that something was wrong. Like I needed a better system, a tighter routine, something that would slow things down. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that this isn't a productivity problem. This is just what happens when life starts to fill up. When your days aren't wide open anymore, when time gets divided into responsibilities instead of possibilities. The hours still exist, but they don't feel the same. The days move fast and weeks disappear, and if you're not paying attention, everything starts to blur together. So lately, I've been trying to notice where my time actually goes. I'm not trying to optimize it or control it. I just want to be aware of it. Because I don't think time ever really slows down for us. I think you have to slow down enough to actually feel it passing. I've also been thinking a lot about my identity, who I am versus who I thought I'd be at this point. A huge part of my identity is wrapped up in my job, and honestly, I'm proud of that. Filmmaking has given me so much, and I still genuinely love what I do. But at the same time, I don't want my entire sense of self to live inside my career. And growing up, that kind of felt like the goal. You find something you're passionate about, you work really hard at it, and that becomes who you are. It's what a lot of our parents do, and it's the story that you see time and time again in movies and on TV. Lately, though, I've been wondering who I am when I'm not working, when I'm not filming or editing or working on publishing the next YouTube video. And honestly, I don't have a clear answer to that yet, and I think that's okay. I'm not trying to detach from my work or pretend that it doesn't matter. I just want my identity to be a little bit bigger than my job, something that has room to change as I change. And all of this kind of leads to the same question for me, which is meaning. And I don't think meaning is some big thing that you suddenly figure out one day. I don't think it shows up as a clear answer or a finished thought. If anything, it feels way more subtle than that. Lately, meaning feels less like something I'm searching for and more like something I'm paying attention to. How I spend my time, who I actually make an effort for, what I say yes to, and what I keep pushing off. It feels smaller than I expected, but also a lot more real. I'm realizing that a lot of the tension that I feel in my 30s comes from trying to hold too many things at once without being honest about the trade-offs. Wanting freedom, but not wanting to feel disconnected. Loving my work, but not wanting it to be the only thing that defines me. Wanting stability without feeling stuck. None of those things are wrong on their own. They just require intention. I certainly don't have this all figured out. I still feel pulled in different directions most days, but I think that direction is becoming clearer. I want to be more intentional with friendships, even when it takes more effort, like inviting a good friend on a last-minute road trip down the Oregon coast. I want to slow down when I can instead of always rushing to the next thing. I want to let my identity be bigger than my job and my life be bigger than my work. I don't need perfect balance. I don't need everything to make sense right now. I just want to feel like I'm choosing my life a little bit more intentionally instead of just letting it happen all around me. And maybe that's what your 30s are all about. Not having all the answers, but being honest about what matters. Paying attention, making small adjustments, and trusting that meaning comes from the direction that you're moving in, not having it all figured out.